Hello guys, welcome back. This is the follow-up video. Basically, in the previous video I introduced you to the tank as a whole, what I have running, equipment, decorations, like aquascape, and all that good stuff. But now it's time for the more important stuff that I know you guys all want to hear, and that is what I have for fishing here. So let's get started. Basically, like I said in the previous video, this is a cichlid and oddball community. Again, oddball is just a catch-all term really for fish that don't quite fit the accepted kind of, what a fish normally looks like. Of course, when you're this far in the hobby, there is really no definition of what a fish looks like, but oddball is just stuff that doesn't really fit in, stuff like plecos and bichirs and eels, etc. Like, these are the fish that I've grown to love because they're unique. They're a talking point. People haven't seen them in person or even heard of them as a species, and so these are fish I like to keep to expand the knowledge of the people around me, with the great variety of fish that this world has to offer. Along with, the cichlids. There are the basic cichlids that people keep. I like to get, obviously, into a little more of the unique species. As you can see, it's kind of a trend. I tend more towards the rarer and the lesser known kinds and the more unique kinds. But yeah, so that's what this community tank is. Again, it is a community tank, so when you're making a community out of fish like this, specifically the cichlids, it takes a lot of work and prep and careful planning with what fish you're doing, using as part of the community. It takes a lot of research. It takes a lot of testing. There were fish that were in here, specifically a firemouth and a blood parrot, that didn't quite fit the bill for what I was looking for. They were a little too aggressive. And so to get a community this size with this much personality in it, it really takes a lot of work and planning. So you're getting the right fish in there with the other tank mates. And you really got to do your research. And again, each fish is an individual. Some have different personalities, and so you never know what you're getting. In terms of territoriality or just general aggression, fondness of other tank mates. Some fish really don't like certain kinds of fish. Like my archer fish, for some reason, hates silver dollars. And so for the most part, the archer fish will just chill over there, but every once in a while he'll just be chasing the silver dollars, and I don't know why. He just really hates them. But it's only an occasional thing. It's not something I had to worry about like I had to with the other fish that I had to remove, unfortunately. That was more of a constant aggression that really was like bugging me, and I could tell it was stressing some of the other fish. And so yeah, when you have a community like this, especially when you have some more vulnerable fish like my oddball stuff, like the eels and whatever, you really got to be a little more careful with what personalities you have in the tank, on an individual level, not just as a species. Every fish is different. But yeah, so let's get into what species I have. So let's start with the cichlids. These are the ones most people know the best. I have a few different kinds. Most are South American or Central American. There are a couple. There's 3 that come from Africa. They aren't African lake cichlids like the Tanganyika, Malawi. Those cichlids, they are true freshwater cichlids from Africa, from different parts. But yeah, so South American, let's get started with that. We have 2 electric blue acaras. This is the dominant male, and there's another male here. I try to make sure I'm getting 2 males, or just same gender with most of the cichlids. Most of the cichlids are just in singles, but For the smaller cichlids, I do have 2 of them, and I make sure it's the same gender because I don't want breeding. That's another way I control the aggression. Is a lot of times some of the worst fish when it comes to aggression, it's during breeding. They're very territorial, protective of their young. Cichlids are very good parents as a general rule. And so with that, I try to limit breeding where I can. I don't like to breed my cichlids for that reason, to limit the aggression. So yeah, I have 2 male blue acaras, electric blue variety. They are beautiful, beautiful fish. As I said, one is the dominant male. You can tell he's just bigger, more colorful, and he's got kind of a hump generating on his head, while the other is just kind of like a normal looking electric blue acara. Great fish. Next from that, we have the largest fish in the tank is a gold Severum, almost full grown. I believe it's got a little more. It's right here by my hand. It's about the size of my hand, so it definitely could get a little bigger. That's one of my oldest fish. So I have that gold Severum, the 2 acaras. I don't know if you can see it over here. There's a little bit of glare, but I have a red spot gold Severum, so it's just a variety of the gold Severum, but basically same yellow general body color, same body form, except they have speckles of red spots coming down their body. It doesn't quite yet. When it gets older, it'll gradually get more and more pronounced. After that, we have, we have a Synspilum cichlid, or a redhead cichlid. These definitely get big. They get about 1 foot long. They're not aggressive though. They're semi-aggressive, which is most of these fish in here. They're semi-aggressive, which is kind of like a general term. Basically means like if you're careful, you can have a really nice fish. If you take care of like the tank, or they're aggressive in certain situations, feeding time, breeding. But as a general rule of thumb, as a species, they're not going to go out of their way to harm other fish. So yeah, so all these cichlids are semi-aggressive, which means you do get the occasional little nip or lunge, but there's no out and out fighting. It's just a quick burst of aggression, and that's inevitable when keeping cichlids. Stuff like little incidents happen for a split second. What I like to limit is the overly aggressive incidents, like actual fighting, which is what I had with previous fish in this tank. And so the Synspilum cichlid gets about 1 foot long. It's right in the middle here next to the gold Severum. But basically when they get bigger, as they grow and mature, they get beautiful colors between reds, blues, greens, etc. Beautiful cichlid, and they get a decent size. And next we have a few different types of Geophagus. We have this tiny one. I don't even know if you can see it from here, but it's a Bandit Geophagus. It's still pretty small, juvenile. Right here we have a surinamensis. Beautiful, beautiful cichlid. Over here towards this side, I don't know if you can see it in the glare, but we have a Threadfin Acara. It's loosely related to the Acara, but it is in the subfamily of Geophagus. Gets beautiful long streamers coming from its dorsal fin, and gets beautiful red colors in the fins. And that one's growing pretty well. It's filling out nice. And then the last Geophagus is in the back, and that is a Satanoperca Daemon. Satanoperca is just a subfamily of the Geophagus, but it is an extremely close cousin of the common Jurapari cichlid, or the demon earth eater. as its common name is. The Juraparis are pretty common. That's actually what I bought this one as. It was mislabeled, and as it got bigger, I started to realize it didn't quite look like the other Juraparis I was seeing. As it developed these black spots down its body. It's right, the fish is right here. It's got these 3 distinct black spots down its body, and that's what made me think, hey, maybe this is another fish. And a quick Google search found it was another species of Satanoperca family, and it's the Satanoperca Daemon, and so it's a beautiful fish. But yeah, not quite a Jurapari as it was sold, but that's okay. Still a very beautiful fish. We have 2 rainbow cichlids. I'm pretty sure they are both male. Again, I do that on purpose to control any breeding that would cause extra aggression. That is it for the South American cichlids. On to the African ones. We have a male Kribensis. Usually hangs out over here. This is kind of his territory. We have a male blood red jewel cichlid. Beautiful, beautiful red cichlid with turquoise kind of spots. This is kind of his area. He's probably the only like aggressive fish, really like a little more than the others, but it's very limited. It's not anything I worry about. It's very occasional, brief spurts, and it's just kind of a territory thing. This is kind of like his area, likes to hang out. There's different tunnels and stuff like that over here. And so yes, the jewel cichlid, still a juvenile. It's probably only about 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches, include the tail, and very beautiful. And the third African cichlid, the last cichlid in here, is up here. It is a Polleni cichlid. They are from Madagascar. They're also known as the starry night cichlid. I will get on that in a second. But basically, they are extremely endangered in the wild due to habitat loss, and so they're the captive breeding efforts, like breeding facilities. The captive breeding efforts have ramped up due to the fact that the wild population is not where it used to be, and it's gradually declining. And so they've been breeding it in captivity in hopes to keep the population on the earth at a good level. But basically, they're called the starry night cichlid because they're actually one of the only cichlids, but they're all black in color. You know, so a lot of the freshwater cichlids, you know, they're colorful. They're greens and blues and even yellows and reds. But there's not many. The Jack Dempsey's the only one that really comes to mind. The Oscar too. There's not many that have this kind of overall black color. And to complement the black color, they have these white scales spotted like gradually along their body. That's how they get the name Starry Night. They're bright white little diamonds around their body. Very beautiful fish. I have a female. The females actually only get around 6 inches, while the males can get up to 10 to 11 inches, and even higher in some reports. So it's kind of a huge difference between the male and female. But yeah, so that's all for my cichlids. All very beautiful. I'm very happy with my current setup with those. Like I said earlier, I have silver dollars. These are the schooling fish of the tank. There's 2 red hooks. Those are the largest ones. There's a black bar silver dollar. And then there's 3 common ones. The common ones are the smaller ones swimming around. They're a little younger. But yeah, so I have those. The other schooling fish in here is the Bala sharks. Now, the Bala sharks are not a permanent member of this tank. Basically, it was a rescue mission. Saw them in a chain pet store in a little 10-15 gallon tank. All 3 of them, and all 3 of them are between like 6 to 8, maybe 9 inches. And all 3 of them were in the same small pet store tank. And for some reason were listed at the same price as the little baby Bala sharks were. And so, feeling bad for them being stuck in that tank, knowing I had a better home for them, at least temporarily, I rescued them. I like to call it a rescue. I bought them. And so they're in here, but I know they get huge, need a bigger tank. They get about a foot long, sometimes bigger, and they get tall too. So hopefully rehoming those two soon to a bigger tank where they can reach their full potential. I hope they weren't in that pet store long and aren't stunted growth-wise. But yeah, those are in here. There's 3 of them. They're not too big, so I'm not worried about that immediately. Still plenty of swimming room for them. That's it for the schooling fish in here. We have topwater fish. We have a pink-tailed chalceus. Beautiful, beautiful fish. Ferocious eater. And then we have the Burmese clouded archer that I mentioned previously. Extremely rare archer fish. The only true freshwater archer fish. All the others are supposed to be brackish. They prefer brackish. The Burmese clouded archer actually does not like brackish water at all. Does not do well in brackish. It is a true freshwater fish. And they come from one small secluded area of the world, and that's why they're so hard to find and rarely come into the hobby. Most of the time you have to buy them online. And so yeah, the Burmese clouded archer and the pink-tailed chalceus are the topwater fish. Very, very distinct coloration and markings on both of them. Very nice fish to have. And now some of the other, like, we have some catfish in here. There's 3 plecos. One is the common pleco from the previous owner of this tank. He will be getting a new home as well. With 3 plecos, I don't quite need that many. I have a juvenile royal pleco, which is my pride and joy at the moment. Royal pleco, one of the most beautiful plecos by far, hence the price tag. And I have a rhinoceros pleco. That one's almost full grown. It's probably about 10 inches right now. Very cool pleco as well. But the common, very cool looking, but I know they get really big, and I already have 2 plecos that I like a lot more. And so the common pleco hopefully will be rehomed with the Bala sharks, etc. And so those are my 3 plecos. I have 2 synodontis catfish. The featherfin variety from these are an African species. Perfect catfish. You know, with catfish, it seems like most either get 3 inches long, like the corridors, or they get 3 feet long, like you see with the red-tailed cats and iridescent sharks, which are also another catfish. But the featherfin catfish get a perfect size, about 6 to 8 inches. The males are a little bigger, a little rounder, and a taller dorsal fin. That's how they get the name featherfin catfish. Is their dorsal fin is very long, and it's got these streamers coming off of it. And so yeah, so I have those 2. There's a male and female. They don't breed in captivity. There's no records of them ever breeding in captivity. But they still show kind of a mating-like behavior. They like to chase each other around. The female chases the male, vice versa. Male chases the female. It's entertaining to watch. It's not harmful to either fish. I know they're just being playful and interacting with each other. And they do like to hang out together for most of the time, which is nice to see, despite knowing it's not going to produce any babies, which I'm actually happy about. I don't need a few dozen synodontis swimming around this tank. If anything, they would just get eaten pretty quickly. Which brings me to my next fish. So this is more of an oddball category, and we're getting into more of the oddball fish. But I have 2 leopard ctenopommas, also known as leopard gourami, African leaf fish, bush fish, whatever. There's a variety of names. They're a member of the gourami family, and so they tend to get leopard gourami as a label. But they are part of their direct family is ctenopomma. There's a few different species of them in Africa, but they are a distant relative of the gourami. They have the same air-breathing ability that the gouramis do, that we know and love. There's a large adult male in here. I've had it. It was one of my first fish ever, so I've had it since I had the 30-gallon tank going. in my previous videos on this channel. So yeah, he's definitely up there in age. And I also have a smaller one. It's only probably like 3.5 inches. They max out around 6. That's what my adult male is. He's 6 inches, full grown. It's not going to get any bigger. But I have a 3-4 inch male in here as well. They don't really show aggression to each other, so I'm happy about that. No, usually gouramis do, so I was a little hesitant at first, but it's all working out. Other oddballs I have in here, I have 2 ropefish. Hilarious fish. I love watching them. Very funny. They're very eel-like. Not a true eel. They're part of the bichir family. Excuse me. But I have 2 ropefish in here. They like to be with others of the same species. You can keep 6, 7, 8 ropefish together. They'll huddle up together, hang out together. So I have 2 ropefish. Very cool. And with that, I do have other bichirs. I do have an Endlicheri bichir. That is one of my favorite fish at the moment. Still pretty young. And the other bichir is a Senegal bichir. Not one of my favorite fish, but very cool. Still, the Endlicheris are definitely more striking in their colorations and patterns. The Senegal, I hope to rehome with the Bala sharks and the common Pleco. I hope to find someone with a large tank that can accommodate those fish that aren't really in my permanent kind of plans for this tank. You know, as these fish grow, a lot of them are juveniles. As these fish grow, I kind of gotta not expand the tank, but expand the available room in the tank by removing some of the less permanent fish, fish that aren't really in my long-term plans. So yeah, the Bala sharks, the common Pleco, and the Senegal bichir might be on their way very soon, and I might be moving some of the smaller cichlids into the 55-gallon, like the rainbow cichlids, just to create more room for future plans. And so with that, the last portion of this video is future plans. Basically, that's fish that are in my 55-gallon waiting to come into here. And so my number 1 favorite fish of all time is the electric blue Jack Dempsey. They're like, when you have as many fish as I have had, you might think it might be hard to pick a favorite, but that's just a testament to how beautiful the electric blue Jack Dempsey is in both appearance and personality. It's just a great fish. Definitely my number 1. I had one, as you saw in my previous videos, for a long time, and it was in here. Fortunately, I had to put it down. It was up there in age. It was getting a number of problems just from, you know, being older and weaker. So it was getting a number of problems, and so I took it upon myself to do it the right way, put it down as being one of my favorite fish. And now I have a juvenile. I'm growing that out in my 55, and soon will be coming in here to hopefully be one of the showcase fish of this tank, because again, they have striking colors and they are a lot less aggressive and tend to get a little smaller than the common Jack Dempseys. On top of that, I have 2 kissing gouramis. The kissing gouramis, they get a decent size. Not many people know this, but they can get 8 to 10 inches, maybe a little more, depending on how big the tank is. And so I have 2 juvenile kissing gouramis that will be going in here. Might not be permanent. I don't know how the ctenopommas will interact with them. You know, gouramis, like, sometimes they're okay with other gouramis, sometimes not. It really depends, and so I will be monitoring that closely when I move them over. And the last fish that I will be moving into here is my second favorite fish, and that is the black ghost knifefish. And those might be the most oddball fish you can buy. They're it looks like they were created in a laboratory. They look nothing like fish. They're very, very unique looking. I will post videos of them. I think I might have some of my old black ghost knifefish, but the one I have currently, it's growing very nicely. And eventually it'll get to a size where I'm comfortable having it with the cichlids. You know, they get very big. They get a lot bigger than some of these cichlids do. And so this tank is more than enough for a black ghost knifefish. They're not a super active species. They like to hang out in a little, like, their kind of spot most of the day, and then they come out at night. But I am waiting for it to get a little bigger, so I will be comfortable having it with these other cichlids and be able to hold its own. I've seen them in their territoriality. They can definitely hold their own against other cichlids, but with the size of some of the cichlids in here, I definitely want to just wait a little while more before I go ahead and do that. But yeah, so that's the future plans of this tank. That is about all from a fish perspective. That's all the fish in here and the future plans as well, what I'm getting rid of, what I'm adding. So thank you for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Definitely hit up that like button, subscribe. There's more content on the way, and please, can't say it enough, hit up the comment section. Give me any and all feedback, questions, suggestions. Like I said, there is always room for improvement for me as part of this hobby, and improvement in the lives of my fish. So please hop in the comment section with any and all feedback. That will be appreciated. Like I said, subscribe. More content on the way, and more fish like we all love. So thank you for watching, and hope to see you soon.